so I haven't quite mastered the art of being able to just be, and I'm trying. And
It's hard.
Yeah, I try to do these things, and like I try to have an understanding, and I try to catch myself when I'm not, like, when I'm reacting, or how I'm reacting, or how I'm looking at something. But you're working on some piece of copy for a client or something, or you're editing something, and you're just sitting here and you're like, this is life, and it's like, no, this is just right now. And I get this feeling of like I'm in a box, and you get caught up a little bit. I'm the first person to admit I get caught up in like wanting things, or like, I need, like you said, the house, you're looking at the house. Oh man, I love that house. Or like, or you see something, and a feeling of jealousy creeps in. You see somebody who's doing better, and your first thought when you see somebody who's like similar and they're doing better isn't, at least in my case, it's not. This is usually my second thought is I get to eventually, like, I don't want to be that person, because if I have that person's life, then I have that person's life in its entirety.
Yes.
I like my life, like, especially, we're the kind of world that we're building, and, doing the podcast, and, working and building the just the things in my life. I love that. I love that. And, there's so much pride that I have in that. But you see somebody, and that momentary reaction, that first reaction, at least for me, is like, oh, look at how, and it's stupid. And that's such a toxic result of just like this capitalist, like, we have this vision, and that's better, more, greater, whatever.
Easier.
But easy. Yeah. Everything's got to be.
I just want things to be easier. Newer house, and newer car,
how my obsession with, like, just everything's got to be optimal. Everything's got to be at the easiest, and like, I can remove this layer of stress if I spend $200 here.
Exactly.
Or like and that's stupid.
It's
and
weird how life has become that.
Yeah.
And
I try to fight back, and eventually I hope I can get to the point where I'm able to kind of step out of that self-image and just be. And I think the work is better when you can do that. I think every aspect of your life improves a little bit, but I'll get caught up in that, and I'll see, oh man, I wish I was making more. I wish I had a nicer house. I wish this or that. And the first thing I tend to do, it's not like I go and I sit down and I'm like, okay, I'm working on this script. I'm working on this story. I've got this photo project. It's not like I go dive into that.
Right,
these things that probably actually will long-term move the needle.
Yep.
But I go for the easy fix. You know what I do?
Yeah.
I check YouTube analytics.
Yep.
And, it's something stupid like that. And I go check that, and I'm like, because for some reason, when they lay it out, and they know this, they understand this psychologically, they're doing this on purpose, but for some reason, when they lay it out, it's just such a clear, there's no ceiling to it.
Yep.
You're like, this could, and I wonder, like, do you think you fall for that a little bit?
No, I don't look at that stuff at all.
But do you, not in that way, but like, do you see, like, I almost think, like, YouTube represents this thing, and they've built this incentive structure, which I don't necessarily agree with, because I think it is dangerous. I think the move is probably to go into, okay, I need to just, like, I feel like I can't, I feel like I wish I had this, I wish I had that. Then channel that. Understand that that's probably not a good feeling to have. And, as long as you can kind of do the self, as long as you can kind of look at how that's affecting you, you can do the, do the work there. Oh shit. The angle's gone. The angle's gone. I think it's okay. Yeah, it's fine. As long as you can do that work, the self-reflection, and move.
Keep that in, by the way.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, I'm not editing these things at all. These things but as long as you can do that self-reflection, I think it's probably better than to channel that energy into working on that story you're writing, or that screenplay, or that, film that you're working on, or, even just like an art project or a painting or whatever, like whatever your thing is. And I guess we have a broad audience, but that photo project, whatever that is, it's probably better to channel into that.
Yep.
Because if you've chosen to commit yourself to this thing, this form of work, then that's going to give you better. But for some reason, because of the way the incentive structure works or the way they lay it out, YouTube feels like the way to, oh man, this is the thing that has no limits to, you can see somebody who's making $100,000 or $1 million a year on YouTube.
Won the YouTube lottery.
Yeah. And you're like, I could win and it's like, it is
I'm
literally
just one more video away from that.
It's exactly what my uncles will do when they go into the 7-Eleven in the morning and they buy the lottery, the scratch off ticket. And it's the same mindset. And, instead of being like, man, I could learn a new skill and get a better job, or I could learn a new skill and completely change the trajectory of my working life.
Yeah,
or
there's no
whatever.
hope for that. I just need to win the lottery. So I can check out of the system.
And so we look at YouTube.
It had been a golden afternoon, and I remember having the familiar conviction that life was beginning over again with the sunrise.